How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Geordie Geek. Welcome back to the channel for another episode of This Is My. And if this is your first time on the channel, this is my show where we meet a guest, a fellow comic collector or toy collector. We'll learn a little bit more about them and we'll get to see some items in their collections. So tonight, ladies and gents, I'm very pleased to chat with someone who I've known for a little while now, but we've not really done any one-on-one chatting. So, over the moon to talk to Chris, the comic vet. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. Very well. It's
good.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you.
My pleasure. I thought about coming on and doing like a Irish accent, but I don't want to insult the lovely people of my motherland, Ireland. So I'll just speak as Canadian as possible.
Do you know what you're saying that? I was Googling the Canadian anthem and I thought we could have a little sing song. And then I thought, no, I'm not sure if that'll be offensive to people watching. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, no, I best just leave it.
I always like the instrumental version myself, but
yeah. I found the South Park version. I thought, no, that's pushing it far too far.
That's where they blame Canada.
Yeah. Anyway, I've known you for a little while now, but
yes,
and you strike me as a guy who's got a hell of a collection, but also a bit of a sensible head on the shoulders. So you always seem, your videos are superb. You always speak with passion and integrity. So I'm over the moon to be chatting with you tonight to learn a little bit more.
I get that in writing so I can show my family.
Yeah. I'll put that down in writing for you. Yeah.
My son might challenge that, but yeah.
So we've got a few questions to ask you. You've got some items to show with. We've got some guys in the chat, so we'll say hello. We've just been talking about Terry, Deadman. Nice to see you, Terry. I hope you are well, bud. Hope you're well. I say this every time I'm doing a show. Terry has just started his YouTube channel. I know you've seen it because you've been watching some of them.
Yeah.
Great content. Comic book content, Chris.
Yes.
Comic book content.
And about Superman too. Yeah. Like that's not something that's all that common.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sick to the back of teeth of not seeing comic stuff, you know, and Terry's doing it. He's good stuff. We've got one of my my all-time biggest supporters, good old Fuzzy Dunlop. This guy's tremendous. Really glad you've convinced Chris to appear. Luckily, I have lots of pet queries that hopefully you can get answered.
A vet, not that kind of vet. I love Fuzzy's handle as a fan of HBO, The Wire. That's a great inside joke handle, and I think it's fabulous. If you don't know what Fuzzy Dunlop is, please watch The Wire.
And I I've said it before, but I have to say, Fuzzy, I don't want to get soppy, but Fuzzy has been a supporter of my channel for a long time. But he's also the kind of guy that you get messages from during the day and stuff like that, and just is 100% supportive and keeps me grounded. So Fuzzy, tip of the hat to you, mate. Love you. You're great. We've got the main Mowl, Hoot Hoot, Dr. Von Hoot. You know this guy well. He is superb. Von Hoot has got a Saturday show these days. Please do make sure you check him out. Von Hoot live this Saturday, I think. So please make sure you go and check out Von Hoot.
Unless him and his wife go to another party.
Yes. Yeah. My favourite shows are when he's had a little bit to drink, Chris. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's wet his beak. Do you know what I mean? He's wet his beak. And he's a
well done. Well done.
Yeah. So good old Von Hoot. He's a great guy. Looking forward to seeing you at Thought Bubble again, bud. We've got JP Venom. Always nice to see Pete in the chat. Been talking with Pete. We're going to be doing something on his channel in October about horror. So looking forward to that. We've got Sean. Panels in a half pint. Always nice to see you, Sean. I'm meeting Sean this weekend for a few drinkies in Ireland. Always good to see you. And we've got Flash by Night Comics. Flash, I don't think I've seen you on this channel before, so welcome. Nice to see you.
He's a wonderful former, I shouldn't say former, because once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. Yeah, TJ's a great guy. Chris stuff. Irish, my mother's family is Irish.
From across the pond. We've got MJ Comics. Nice to see you, MJ. I hope you are well.
He's doing some great content, that guy.
Yeah, he's putting some great interviews.
I listen to a lot of his stuff while I'm driving. MJ's a good dude.
He is. He's another one of these YouTubers who I've managed to meet in real life, and he's just as nice in real life as he is.
Very fortunate. Good for you.
Scene. Yeah. Deadman saying thank you to JP. Subbed him. We've got Luke. Nice to see you. Luke. This guy has got a stunning Thor collection. Superb guy, a lovely man to chat with as well. Von Hoot saying live this Saturday. Good stuff, mate. Good
Maybe
stuff.
his wife has another party.
Well, yeah. And we've got Cliff. I don't know if you've met Cliff. He's a very quiet, unassuming guy. You won't have noticed him.
So Cliff and I, we speak on the regular, like maybe a couple times a week or a few times a month. We'll message stuff, or if I see a particular Instagram reel I like, I'll send it to Cliff if he pops in my mind. Cliff is in Ottawa, I believe, or he's on his way to Ottawa, and he messaged me today. He goes, "I wish you were so much closer to Ottawa because I'm in the province of Ontario, but as you know, Canada is a huge country.
Yeah.
So Ottawa and where I am west of Toronto, we're probably about 6 or 7 hours apart, even though like we're in the same country, like right away to be like, oh, well, Ottawa and Toronto, they got to be close. No, Canada's so vast, but I'm glad that Cliff, who's a little Canadian, is up here, I believe, in his mother's land. I believe his mother has a little bit of Canadian in her, pardon me.
It's interesting. I was talking to my pal Efren from TripleG Comics about this because sometimes from the UK, it's hard for me to get my head around the vastness of your countries because America and Canada, because you can travel the length of the UK in 8 hours. Do you know what I mean?
I'm guilty of that too. Like when I think of California, they say Los Angeles and San Francisco. I'm like, what are they, like half an hour apart? They're like, no, it's like 7 or 8 hours. I'm like, really? Yeah. California is a very, very big state. Yeah.
Cliff,
hey, nice sticker, by the way. Look at that. You must have got that from Rob.
Yeah, very nice. Good. Cliff bombarded us with questions for you, so he's got some interesting ones for you later on. Some very sensible ones.
Sure.
It's going to be fun getting some of those later on. We've got Fuzzy is just saying, Chris, all I know about Canada is it's the home of the beaver and the original home of putting pineapple on pizza. Is that right?
It's true. And they call it Hawaiian, but there's nothing Hawaiian about it.
You
can officially blame Canada on that one. Yeah. And I don't put pineapple on pizza.
Favorite Bryan Adams song?
Ooh, probably Summer of '69.
Oh, that's a good one. It's a good one. I just seem to remember the one from Robin Hood that was in '1 over here for about 3 years. I think it was. It was ridiculous.
There's also a rock duet he does with Tina Turner that is just a great song too.
I'm not seeing that one.
Yeah, and I think that was on Private Dancer from her, and it was on Reckless from him. The name of that song is escape me, but if anyone in the chat knows what I'm talking about, that's a great tune. But I love Tina Turner, so me too. It's a
me too.
Great rock
big song. Tina fan. We've got Izzy. Nice to see you, Izzy. Thank you very much for joining. Sean saying Peter's live this Saturday. Certainly won't be sober. Yeah, I'll be. Yeah. Let's have a look. And Cliff, my mother is Puerto Rican.
Oh, I apologize, Cliff.
His father was from Canada.
Okay, I apologize.
And Deadman is saying, Chris, there were rumors about a wall of comics appearing behind you coming soon. Any truth to this?
I don't know how these rumors start in social media, but if you're tuning into my channel, I'm all you need to see.
Yeah, what
you're more tuning in to see me. You're not tuning into what may or may not be behind me.
Exactly. Now we're gonna get on with the show, Chris. One thing I would say is Fuzzy is the master of questions. Okay. And he's warning me here. He has more to come, which is good.
Well, one day I will have a studio set up, but I'm just not there mentally yet.
Yeah. Fuzzy, and I'm going to start you off with one of Fuzzy's questions because it's one that is ridiculous, but it gets lots of generation. Favorite pie?
My favorite pie?
Favorite pie. You didn't think you were going to get that one tonight, did you?
I don't want to get immature at this point yet.
You can get as immature as you want
a little bit later. But I'm a guy that I actually prefer pie over cake, but I prefer cookies over everything else. Cookies are my weakness. It's probably why I'm carrying a 15 or 20 that I should not be carrying. I like a coconut cream pie.
Now, you see, that's not something we'd get over here, really, coconut cream.
You got to get out of your country then, man.
I know. I've never lived.
Something wrong with the United Kingdom.
We got mushy peas. Do you know what I mean? That's about as good as we get. Mushy peas, yeah. Okay, right. Let's crack on. Guys, in the chat, let me know what your favourite pie is. Do you know what I mean? Why not? That's the kind of hard hitting questions you're going to get on this show, Chris. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the level we're aiming for on here. Sean is saying cookies and cream ice cream. Yeah, nice.
Yep.
I like that. Okay, let's crack on. So, want to start off, Chris? Tell me a little bit about your story, who you are, and what got you into this whole YouTube or comic collecting malarkey.
Okay. Well, I am officially a second generation comic book reader. My father was a comic book reader in his youth. He grew up in a very small, isolated fishing village, and a few times a year, a steamship would arrive to his area, and on that steamship, the kids would find spinner racks, and the spinner racks would have multiple types, multiple genres of comic books. But my father was drawn to comic books of the American Wild West, cowboys and Indians, and he was also drawn to historical comic books like Great Treasures Illustrated, so like Treasure Island as a comic book, and those type of books. That's what he was drawn to. So fast forward to my early days, probably around 7 or 8. I was reading Choose Your Own Adventure books from school, and my father said, "Well, why don't you read a comic book as well?" And he goes, "It's just a different type of read. You may enjoy it." Well, at the time, I had fallen in love with Superman because Christopher Reeve's Superman 1 and 2 was already out. Fell in love with the classic Spider-Man cartoon from the late 60s that was always in reruns. And at the time, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends just debuted. So I was thoroughly into that. So my father would pick up the odd comic book, and my foray into comics was Archie and other childlike books, Casper the Friendly Ghost and Richie Rich, books like that. And then one day he brought me in a Spider-Man book, and I was off to the races. And through Spider-Man, then I fell in love with the world of superheroes, both Marvel and DC. And flash forward to COVID, I started watching a lot of mystery box openings on YouTube, and thought, like, people are spending $100 and I don't know what they're getting. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
After a while, went down a rabbit hole, myself and my lady, and that's where I discovered Taylor Winder and a few other still pretty big channels, Comic Tom, obviously, but one that I would tune into weekly would be Comics with Bueller, because he would always present the brand new books that were coming out for New Comic Book Day. Then I got excited about that and started visiting a couple different comic shops in and around where I was living, and developed a relationship with one particular comic shop, one that I still go to weekly now, TripleG Comics. And from there, I decided to maybe take that step into YouTube. And it was nerve-wracking. It was challenging. I was scared. I legit thought that, I've said it before and I'll say it again, that I thought it was me versus everybody. And that somehow this is not a fraternity, that this is like sports. It's me versus you versus you versus you. And like everyone else, my first handful of videos was the subject would be just the book, and I wouldn't show myself. I would just do a little narration over why I picked it up. And then that turned into this is what I picked up for New Comic Book Day. And then one day I decided to, outside of my comic shop, turn the camera around on myself and film it in my car. And I've kind of built a YouTube channel just off of that one day where I decided to turn this around and show myself and talk about why I picked it up, what I am enjoying about the story, or if this is possibly a fringe book that I may drop because I haven't been enjoying it lately. And my entire YouTube channel grew from there, and it's all built off my phone. The only time that I ever use a laptop like where I am right now is to live stream. My entire editing process, the whole 9 yards, are done off a few different editing tools that I use on my phone. And I got to admit, like, if I were to lose my phone, I don't know if I could survive on YouTube anymore. I may just shut it all down.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do all their work and their editing off their computer, but my computer is literally just a tool to go live.
Yeah.
And that was it. And over the first 6 months of being on YouTube, I actually found out how wrong I was. And I'm not a man that's not afraid to admit when he's wrong, and I can admit it to everyone. I was wrong. This is not me versus you. This is us together trying to grow this little pigeonhole of YouTube that we have in talking about comic books, modern comic books, the history of comic books, what draws us in, and everything that surrounds comic books in that particular medium, whether it's film, toys, animation, and all that kind of thing. And we collectively come together, and through that, I've realized that you develop relationships and friendships to the point where a lot of these people I consider like family. They're like, a long lost cousin, because we have so much in common. And it's wonderful when you get a chance to meet people that are in the YouTube community that thoroughly enjoy the same things that you do, because, when you're someone that reads comic books, not everyone is going to understand, especially when you're like, I'll be 50 in a couple of weeks. Not everyone understands, like, you're 50 years old and you're reading Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it gets worse than that. You know what I mean? You're 50-year-old and you collect dolls. You know what I mean? It's like, Listen, that's a beautiful answer, and there's a few things I just want to kind of mention there. First of all, your kind of origin story in terms of who got you into comics is very similar to my own, in terms of my father was a big collector and my father read comics to me and things like that. And I don't know about you, but for me, my father sadly passed now, but for me, that's a beautiful memory that I've got, that we shared this hobby together. That, like you say, isn't for everybody. Lots of people don't get it. Right. But, we bonded over that. And the other thing I wanted to mention is this whole community thing. We've talked about this on this channel a lot. You're, I think, very similar to me in that you have made proper friendships, as you've just described. And we get to interact with them, I've met people from the UK that I would have never interacted with previously that have become real good pals.
Right.
And to the point where I mentioned him earlier to you, Efren, who's from San Diego, is flying over here at the end of the year to spend time with us. And it's like, that's money. That's expensive. That's a lot of cash he's putting into it.
And time with me, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I do. I think it's the YouTube thing for me, much like you, started off during COVID, but it's developed into something much bigger than I thought it was going to be, in terms of relationships. So it's nice to hear that you've had similar experiences. I'm just going to quickly jump to the chat. People are talking pie still. Cherry pie or chicken pie? Absolutely. Key lime. Oh, I do like a key lime pie.
A good key lime, because there's bad key lime, right, TJ?
Well,
there's bad key lime, but good key lime is just, you got to sit down and make your knees weak. It's so good. Does.
Let us know then in the chat, and yourself, Chris. Yeah. My wife experimented making key lime pies for us. And we went for a ginger biscuit kind of base. Is that what you guys have over there? Yeah.
No.
That was like a traditional recipe, I liked it.
Really?
It was nice. Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
It was good.
No. A good American key lime pie, like from the South, especially, like the best key lime pie I think I've had is Florida. And like I said, like I was standing up, I'm like, I got to sit down. This is so damn good.
Yeah. But you see, again, I had one when I was in Florida a few years back.
Yeah.
And it was like luminous. It like glowed in the dark. I'm not sure there was any lime in it. It was.
That's good though. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, we have different food standards and safety standards over here.
I don't trust the FDA. No one loves the United States more than I do, and that's factual. But I don't trust the FDA, and I think most Americans don't trust the FDA either.
Dead Man saying chicken and mushroom or a Bakewell tart. I like a Bakewell tart. Let's see. We've got Luke here. Sorry I'm late. Cart broke down and I had to... See what he's done there? Do you see what he did there? He tried to lead me into a racist comment. That's what he tried to do. I think he was trying to... I think... Nice to see you, Luke. I hope you're well. Luke's just put out a very bizarre video. Luke is a comic man, a collector. He's put out a video about Taylor Swift. Not watched it yet, Luke, but interesting. Yeah, I'm interested about her dresses or something. But yeah, very cool. Different. We've got Wayne. Please do go check it out. Check the video out. We've got Wayne Deacon. Always nice to see you, Wayne. Hope you are well. Sadly, not everyone shares the outlook. For some people, it's them versus the world, and they revel in it. Yes, Fuzzy, I'm not gonna. I think you are absolutely right, mate. And there's a lot of that at the moment. Not touching this channel, but I absolutely love and appreciate our community. Absolutely, bud. Absolutely. Von Hoot, don't tar me. Oh, sorry. And a Mowl. Absolutely. We love the Mowl community. Don't tar me with the people brush. On average, Canada eats 55% more macaroni cheese than the USA each year. My question to you is the greatest Canadian superhero, and why is it Puck? Buzzy.
Why don't you tell me why it's Puck?
Yeah.
I gotta go with Wolverine. Like that's to me it's Wolverine. Like if you think of Canadian superheroes, that's not an independent. Captain Canuck is probably the most successful independent. But if you think the big two, Marvel, DC, Wolverine, Deadpool to a lesser extent, and then you have those members of Alpha Flight, like Guardian and Vindicator, Puck, and there's a few good ones, but like Wolverine's a household name at this point, right?
Deadpool, was he Canadian in the comics, or was he Canadian because Ryan Reynolds is Canadian?
No, he was Canadian in the comics.
Was he? Wasn't. That's a shame. That's a shame. You're wrong.
Thanks for trying. Please summon the people all the time.
Yeah. Is Snoopy Canadian?
I thought Snoopy was American.
Snoopy's American, surely.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. Bret Hart is a Snoopy.
To some of us, he certainly is. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Chris. I just wanted to briefly touch on this because I know you are heavily involved with this with Rob Fat Stacks and DJ Links, Legion of Comics. Comics Curing Cancer is fast approaching. At the moment. Rob's still taking donations, so please do check that out. Make sure if you've got stuff to send, you send it his way. But there's a whole host of exciting stuff happening. Chris, tell me a little bit about the campaign and what you're going to be doing and supporting with it.
So the goal this year is again $50,000. They've already rolled over the $10,000 mark, so that's wonderful just from donations that have been gathered over the span of 2024 up to date. Myself, the Wednesday of the big weekend, because it starts Friday morning with Legion of Comics for the community hangout, the Legion Lair. It starts officially then. But Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which I believe is 11 o'clock in the UK, maybe midnight. Yeah. I'll be going live at 7 p.m. for a very special Show Us What You Got, where we're going to be having a handful of the hosts from the C3 weekend, bringing on some of the items that are going to be available on each one of their shows. So I'm hoping to have, say, for example, Izzy from the Izzyverse, who's going to be doing a live sketchy show during the weekend. I'm hoping to have Izzy come on and maybe show a handful of the items that's already prepared. I know Rob hopefully will be there. He's going to show some of the stuff that's going to be available on Only Slabs for that particular weekend. And also, hopefully, a handful of the real big donations that have already rolled in. I know there's an Iron Man #1 that's been donated by the community member Austin LeMay. There's also been a handful of other big books. All you have to do is check out Rob's, DJ's, and Mark's channel to see some of those highlights. But like I said, on my show, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for that Wednesday, I'm hoping to have as many people that are going to be having specialized shows through the weekend come on to show again some of the wonderful items that they're going to have available for auction or that they're going to be giving away with a donation to Comics Curing Cancer during their time slot. And I'll also be co-hosting Only Slabs again as normal that Saturday afternoon, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, and where I believe Rob is going to be having a draw for a ton of slabs. And if you're there and you make a donation in on time, because those tickets sell out really, really fast.
Yeah,
Usually,
yeah.
I think last year it was less than 90 seconds. So if you want in on some of those slabs, make sure you're tuned in to Only Slabs. I think Rob will be doing somewhere between 20 to 25, maybe even 50 slabs. So Rob goes overboard with some of that stuff, as you know, and it pisses me
He
off
does.
sometimes. But yeah, that's going to be it. Like I said, I may be available to help Izzy on Izzyverse NYC for his sketchy show. I was a part of his show last year where I hosted a good segment of it. I'm hoping to make myself available to be a host on that show again, because Izzy, as you may or may not know, is a very talented artist as well. And he's going to be doing a lot of sketches that he's going to put up and make available to those that are interested in original art during that weekend. Thanks, Pete.
Fantastic. Great weekend. Loads and loads of activity for you to check out. And what I would say is all for a great cause, all raising amazing money for a worthwhile cause. But also, if I'm being really honest, when you look at things like the auction and stuff like that, if you're wanting to get yourselves a bargain, some of this stuff goes for ridiculously cheap.
Yeah,
like original artwork for next to nothing. So it is a great opportunity to pick up some very good quality items for a low price whilst also supporting an amazing charity. So it's well worth checking out. Okay, Chris, show us something from your collection. Let's have a little look-see at what you've brought along to Short Night. I'm going to make you big so we can have a good look at it.
Okay, so Pete, you and I have been in communication for a few weeks about this show, and I really thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a toy collector per se. I do have some vintage hockey cards, but that's not this field. It's not this genre. It's not this pigeonhole that we're a part of. And I thought, okay, well, what can we do? Well, people know me as being a Spider-Man fan, so let's get into the franchise, as I refer to them. What I decided to do today is talk a little bit about my Spider-Man collection. Some people may know, some people may not know that I decided the absolutely ludicrous and insane idea of completing the Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 50, the first volume. It was a labor of love, but mostly hatred and frustration. I think I got it done in less than 10 years. I missed a few bills. There was a few cell phone payments I had to skip because the Canadian dollar is weak and the American dollar is strong. So, but needless to say, I completed it in the last couple of years, and I'm really happy with it. I'm not at the point where I'm willing to let it go. Certainly not my ASM number 1, because I have my ASM number 1 and it's signed by Stan Lee. This was Stan Lee's final appearance in Canada, the weekend of Labor Day weekend, actually, in 2016. We didn't have Stan Lee for much longer after this. I had a handful of other books signed, but I wanted to show this one because this is going to be the segue into what I want to talk about for your show and what I decided to do. So this was actually one of the first 25% of the Amazing Spider-Man books that I had done through 1 through 50. I got this one pretty early. I remember I paid $2,700 US for it at the time. It worked out to be somewhere around $3,300 or $3,400 Canadian. I had just sold the property and I had a little bit of money. I had about $4,000. And what I wanted to do was buy Amazing Fantasy 15 and then just sell off the ASMs that I had. Like, be damned, I'm not going to do 1 through 50. It's just too much. I even recognized that. But I couldn't find a low grade AF15 back in early 2016, even at that point, for $4,000 Canadian. Just wasn't there. The best I could do was about 55 or 6,000. And I couldn't do it. As a single parent, I couldn't make it happen. So I decided to find the best looking low grade Spider-Man number 1 that I could have and just move forward from there. The plan was just 1 through 50 and then be done with it. If I ever win the lottery, maybe AF15 would be on my scope at that point. But I've come to the realization that other than reprints and stuff like that, AF15 is not really one that that I can make happen.
But also, I don't know if you're like me, but at some point as well, it's hard to justify the kind of money you'll be putting on an AF-15, you know?
Right. If
And
someone
that's
came,
still big money, don't get us wrong. But
if someone came to me and said, I'll if you give me your 1 through 50, I'll trade you an AF-15, I would say no. Just because there's so many great titles in there that when I'm ready to let them go, I'm still going to hold on to a handful of the books just because there's some sentimental value to them.
Yeah.
And what I decided to do for your show is talk about the best rogues gallery around, and that is the Sinister Six.
Nice. Yeah.
So I had completed my 1 through 50 run, and I went to Heroes Con for the first time last year. And I decided that I was going to try and work out a trade and find something cool. You know, maybe I can find an early Superman book, or maybe find a handful of birthday books that I would like in a real high grade.
Yeah.
And I happened to see this great presenting 0.5 CBCS ASM Annual number 1, the first appearance of the Sinister Six. And this was never on my radar. When I finished 1 through 50, I was done. And I can still say to you now today, Peter, I am done. Like, I don't have plans to try and fill in 51 through 100. If I can pick some up here and there, or if I get it in a mystery box, great. If I realize I'm within 10 issues, maybe then I'll I'll do it. But I'm not purposely doing it anymore. Yeah. I don't have that insane bone in my body anymore. Yeah. It's too much. It really is too much, to the point where I was finding myself not being able to enjoy smaller Comic-Cons because I was all about knocking off one of the Spider-Man books that I wanted, and I missed out on a whole lot of other cool stuff because if I went with $300, I would try to get 1 or 2 nice copies and then I'd be done. Yeah. Some people, they can handle that, but when I get something in my mind, I'm very focused on what I want.
Disciplined.
Right. So I ended up working out a trade to get this particular issue, and just let everyone know, it's Amazing Spider-Man annual number 1 from 1964. And from what I understand, Amazing Spider-Man was probably around issue 16 or 17 when this one first came out. It's 72 pages. It says the first appearance of the Sinister Six, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Giant Man, Thor, Captain America, Doctor Strange, and the Wasp have a cameo, and there's 15 different pinups. The reason why this book is just 0.5 is that there's a large piece missing from the 11th page, so it's considered incomplete. But as you can see, it presents well.
Easily.
It is a square-bound book. It is large. And if you're interested in toy soldiers, I can photocopy this and send it to you if you're interested in picking that up.
I do like my soldiers. I'm eyeing the soldiers. Interestingly, Chris, I bought a copy of that. I haven't got it anymore, but I bought a copy of that from Luke, who's in the chat. That's a stunning. Ooh, that's a stunning book, mate. Oh, I've lost you. Hang on. We'll ask a few more questions, and we'll come back to your collection. That Amazing Spider-Man 1. That's a bit of a dream purchase, surely. I mean, that's a stunning book, and I know a lot of people who've been after that book, because the AF-15, let's be fair, is out of reach for vast majority of people. Yeah. And still that issue 1 is out of reach for a lot of people as well.
It's like the price of a new car.
Well, this is it.
To some people, right?
Yeah. But stunning books. Stunning. Yeah. Let's have a little looky at the comments before we move on and get you some questions. GP Venom. This is terrible, Chris. I do apologise for the British attacking your native tongue here. How about you hit that like button, eh?
How about you hit that like button,
eh? Congratulations on completing that run.
Oh,
I've got a lot of Spider-Man collectors
in
the house tonight, so I know they'll be jumping on that. Great run, superb, crazy cool book, amazing stuff from Luke, who's a big Spider-Man collector.
Yeah, that's good. Pardon the fun.
Oh, fuzzy. Here we go. On behalf of the UK, I'd like to thank Chris and Canada for giving us poutine, chips, cheese, and gravy. Thanks, Canada. We'll never forget you. It's very true. Very true. Does that counterbalance the pineapple on pizza, Fuzzy? I don't mind. Yeah. Boom, that's an incredible book to kick off the show and tell with. What are you going to end with? Guess we'll find out. Pete, would you trade all your toys for an AF-15? Yes, I think I would, because the toys are all fairly easily replaceable. At some point, I could buy them back, whereas an AF-15, it's hard to get a hold of, isn't it, in a decent condition. I agree with Fuzzy. Poutine is. I don't think I've ever had it.
Okay.
I presume you've
It's
daily. Do you have it every day? Or?
My God, no, Pete. I'd be as big as a house. No, my God, no. My heart would explode. It's very salty and very fattening, but it is.
It sounds delightful.
Yeah, it is a good treat.
And Luke's got another copy for sale. Of AF. The annual there. Okay, mate. A question for you.
Sure.
Stuck on a desert island, you can only watch one movie for the rest of your days. What film is it you're going to be watching? It's a tough one, isn't it?
Oh my God. I'm down to two. I'll speak of them, and then I'll tell you which one. Shawshank Redemption, because I think it's a beautiful story about two men becoming friends that you would never expect to become friends in
Amazing
the most
performances,
in the most harshest of environments, and it being a genuine friendship where each of them are worried about each other. And the other one is Forrest Gump, because again, a wonderful life story. I actually avoided the film for at least a month because I didn't want to go see a movie and fall in love with the character and then have the character die at the end. Only after a friend said, "Trust me, go see it. He doesn't die. It's a great story. It's incredible, and the soundtrack is wonderful." And I think I got to go with Forrest Gump, just because of that little pin versus the Shawshank Redemption. That subculture of wonderful music from the American 60s and the 70s and into the 80s, I thought was just terrific. And Tom Hanks gives a performance for the ages. And I don't care what anyone says, Jenny is the ultimate villain in that movie, and in my opinion, one of the best Hollywood villains of all time. Yeah. If you fall in love with Jenny, with Forrest Gump, then you understand what I mean. But and hey, he was a fisherman for a while too. It's my family's heritage.
Exactly. I love doing this part of the show, because quite often people bring up movies that I have seen and I love, but it's maybe 10, 15 years since I've seen both of those. I've never revisited them. Whereas now I'll probably go, because particularly Forrest Gump, I'm thinking I absolutely loved that film. Again, Tom Hanks, just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We've got some suggestions in the chat, which we'll jump to in a second. But Izzy's saying, is AF-15 the next holy grail? Are you aiming for it, or is it just too far out?
It's too far out of reach. Yeah. It's too far out of reach.
Yeah. And Cliff saying, am I pronouncing that right? Is it poutine?
Poutine, yes. It's actually French.
Okay, nice. We've got Perry Gaiman. Nice to see you, Perry. Thank you very much for joining.
I enjoy his channels. Mm-hmm.
Sean has seen The Dark Knight or E.T. Oh, I haven't seen E.T. for years either.
Yeah, Dark Knight was wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Fuzzy, the escaped Shawshank. You're stuck on the island. Go with Gump.
I went with Gump. Yeah.
Life's like, I'm not going to do the impression, but life's like and I think that's the thing for me sometimes with movies. If you can hear a line and it immediately you see the scene in your head or the quote in your head, you know it's had some kind of impact. Flash. Mean Girls.
So before we move on from this, Mean Girls, I'm actually friends. This film was actually done in Toronto, and I'm actually good friends with a dude that was an extra and is actually in the film in the lunchroom when there's the real big confrontation.
Really?
So yeah, every so often we were working together, and the place where I worked, every lunch period we'd be watching a movie. So the movie would last about 2 days, because we'd have 15-minute break, half-hour break, then a 15-minute break. And once a season, because everyone would get to choose a movie, and it worked out to be basically once a season. When his movie came around, it was always the movie that he was in, Mean Girls. So we had to watch Mean Girls at work. So there's a bunch of men building automotive or building cars, watching Mean Girls. And then whenever he would show up on the screen, we would pause it and be like, hey, big celebration. But yeah, that's so yeah, 6 degrees of separation for myself from Mean Girls. Yeah.
Mean Girls. Wow.
Yeah.
Izzy, Jenny had problems, but she wasn't the villain. Ooh, but that kid 16.
He grew up to see dead people. Yeah.
Yeah. Several ASMs. Oh wow. That's achievable. That seems
under
very
1,000
under 1,000
or 10,000. Maybe
must be 10,000, Cliff.
Maybe 10,000.
10,000. Yeah.
If it's 1,000, Pete, I got to cut this interview short.
Yeah, me too. You stay on whilst I go check. Right. Half the chat's left. Yeah, looking for it. Tom Hanks never disappoints you. Catch Me If You Can. That's a film I could watch repeatedly. Love that movie.
Yep.
Road to Perdition. Yeah, superb. Some really, really good films there.
Yep.
Okay, Chris, show us something else from your collection, bud.
So what I wanted to do for Pete's show is spotlight the Sinister Six. So the first one I'm going to show from the Sinister Six is the first appearance of the Vulture. This is the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2. I was fortunate enough to pick this up in a low grade 2.5 but hey, low grade is better than no grade, right?
Yeah.
Issue number 2, Stan Lee and Ditko at the helm, obviously, as everyone knows for this, but this is the first appearance of the Vulture, Adrian Toomes, and the Terrible Tinkerer, Phineas Mason. And that spotlight is right there. But yeah, the Vulture then, who would be the first Spider-Man and Rogues Gallery villain to actually show up for a second time. Yeah. As the Vulture shows up a little bit later in the first 10 issues. But so again, yeah, Chris, happy to get this one.
Again, that presents incredibly well for a 2.5. It looks beautiful.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those books, Pete, where I think if it were to actually get cleaned, I don't know if a pressing would do that much, but I can see a few creases, but the cleaning would really help. Yeah. But with CGC now basically taking a tax on what they feel the book is worth, if it's over X amount of $100, to me, it's not worth going from a 2.5 to a 3. Maybe if I were to move on from the set, maybe whoever were to pick it up, that'd be something they would consider investing in. But for me at this point, I am more than happy with it being a 2.5. Again, the back presents really, really well. It's just subject to, that cheap paper that Marvel used way back in 1963 that caused the Marvel chipping. But this one, it is good. But the spine does have some wear.
But it's a book of that age, you expect it. But you mentioned paper there, Chris. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you are a collector of raw books as well.
Yep.
I have a bit of a habit, and I just like to learn a little bit more personal stuff about my guests. Sure. Are you a book sniffer? Do you have a good smell of the pages of that book? Do you have a bit of a sniff?
I've been known to waft a little bit.
Oh, you're a wafter. You're a wafter.
I'll enjoy it, and
like a perfume. Do you like?
Yep. And but I'm also one that realizes I don't want to use it all up. So I'll close it up and I'll put it away, and then I'll revisit it a little bit later. Some people like Calvin Klein, some people like Boss, some people like Lacoste. I like Marvel circa 1969, 1970.
Perhaps if you're having a night out with your good lady, you might just dab a ASM3 on you.
Right now. Yeah, that's not guaranteeing it's going to get me anywhere, but I know I will feel good.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a few guys in the chat asking, Fuzzy, he's opened the door for a Keaton reference. Fuzzy knows my favorite Batman is Keaton, so every show I need to mention good old Michael. The Tinker just doesn't get any credit, just like the Jackal. Yeah. Great character.
You watch Only Slabs when the Amazing Spider-Man 129 shows up. I'm quick to point out it is the wonderful first appearance of the Jackal.
The Jackal. Yeah.
Someone else too, but the Jackal.
Yeah, mainly the Jackal. Jackal's the one that stuck around, isn't he? Yeah. Okay, next question for you, Chris. Marvel and DC, one of them never existed. So you never got any of the characters. So which company are you keeping?
Oh, I'm keeping Marvel. I'm keeping the House of Ideas, yeah. Sorry to say, but I do have a very special fondness for Superman. I always will. He was my first favorite superhero on the live screen. Christopher Reeve is, to me, Superman. The rest are just he's by himself. We don't debate that. If you want to debate who the best Superman is, you recognize Christopher Reeve, and then you move forward from there. Batman, I feel, has wonderful stories and stuff, and Wonder Woman is probably my favorite read over the last 5 or 6 years from DC. But I never got into the Justice League as a whole. I never really read Green Lantern or The Flash. But I did read Action. I did read Superman right up to the death of Superman. I've been reading Batman most of my life, and I still think The Killing Joke is the best solo story ever told when it comes to just a one-shot. But for me, it's Marvel, because I can't picture my life without the fondness I have for Spider-Man.
And are you still enjoying modern Marvel comics as much as you did back in the day?
Yeah. Yes, and the thing is, I sing its praises when I find a good one.
Yeah.
But I feel comics as a whole, outside of independence, it can be challenging for the most part.
Yeah.
That's not to say that a single issue isn't good or whatever, but when you get a good solid arc, with me, I sing its praises, and then I'm usually hooked for at least 2 or 3 more arcs, whether they're as strong as that one that I really enjoyed or not. And it's tough. It's tough when you feel certain characters should have a certain standard, and that storytelling seems to be with that storytelling that you would expect is with different characters, and the one that you would hope would have that level is failing, in your opinion. But again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
It's interesting you saying that, because I get a bit of grief, because I am a very moralistic kind of guy. I like your archetypes who are good. I like Superman. I like Captain America. I think your heroes should inspire you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, just thinking of the example you've given there, the worst thing we had over the last few years at Marvel was where they turned Captain America. Now, I know that was retconned and all the rest of it, but Captain America becoming a Hydra agent was just like so against his character for everything I thought he represented. And I found it very strange.
Just expand on that just for a quick second, Pete. It seems like every major character in our lifetime, I know you and I are close in age, something drastic has happened where it has been almost rejected by its fan base. They killed Superman. Why? They've broke up Peter and Mary Jane how many times? Why? And they broke Batman's back. Why? Was this necessary? I get, at the time, a single issue would then skyrocket with sales and stuff, but looking back, was it the best decision? Was it good moving forward? Was it good moving forward for the storytelling aspect that you hope to achieve? I generally say no, but only once in a while where I feel a death of a character or a significant life change of a character works out well. And I think of the death of Kraven. That turns out to be the best storytelling that Spider-Man has. Some people would say the death of Captain Stacy than Gwen Stacy, and so be it. But it's tough looking back when you have these moments where the publishers do something to single characters, and it's just for a cash grab. In the end. And then I almost feel bad for the writer, because then they're the one, or the artist, and they're the one that's attached to this, I don't want to say stain, but something that's usually frowned upon. Now, some people may have enjoyed those stories, and good on them if they do.
I mean, a good example of that, I guess, is I always get his name wrong, J. Michael
Straczynski? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who I thought his initial run on Spider-Man, the introduction of the totems and all that was superb. But then he was told to break Mary Jane and Peter up, and he's linked to that now forever. He wrote those stories, You think, just quickly before I go to the chat, Chris, you mentioned Kraven there. Are you excited for the Kraven movie?
No.
That's the right answer. Well done. I'm not. I'm yet. I mean, Luke in the chat is hopeful. I'm hopeful, but I'm not sure.
That kind of went out the the window for me with Morbius. I really thought that they could be onto something, because I enjoy Morbius, and my favorite Spider-Man rogue of all is Craven.
Yeah.
So I get they went and got themselves a tremendous actor.
Yes. Yeah.
But just from the first trailer with blood of a lion going into his eye, I'm like, that's now we're having Craven as a super powered up. I don't think so.
And
but that's just me. That's just me.
And I've said before, despite my reservations, I'll still be there on opening night just to see what it's like. Do you know what I mean? Because I just can't not.
If I see good reviews, I will definitely see it on the big screen. Yeah. I don't know if I'll be day one for that one. Yeah. I say that now.
You will. Yeah.
I probably will.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for punishment. I read Spider-Man monthly.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Ultimate Spider-Man. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Well, yeah.
Fuzzy, if Marvel went away, DC would have nobody to steal ideas off. Yeah, wow, shots fired here. Are there adverse effects on Marvel if DC doesn't exist, or vice versa? That's a great question.
I believe
great
so.
Question. Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's Yeah, it's a tough one. We've got Chris Bell. Nice to see you, Chris. I've just finished work. Is this right time to admit I thought Chris was a veterinarian for ages? He's not, is he? He is, mate. He is. This is the warm-up. What we're going to do is a live procedure on a puppy later on. So that's going to be interesting. That'll be fun.
No. God bless the veterinarians, but I am not one of them.
We've got Hector in the house. Nice to see you, Hector. If DC went away, Marvel would have nobody to steal ideas.
Yep, see, that's like...
Vice versa. I like what you did there. I like what you did there. Dead Man, worst thing Marvel is it? Yeah, I have to say, not good.
Don't, let's not stir that drink right now.
Yeah, not good, mate. Pat Baird, nice to see you. I love Marvel more than DC, but the thought of never having stories like The Dark Knight, Long Halloween, Watchmen, Kingdom Come. Yeah, you're right, Pat Baird. You're absolutely right. I have to say,
very fair.
I was a bit of a naysayer a couple of years back where I said, I don't like Marvel comics anymore. They've gone rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And then I got back into picking up some of the regular issues. I got the Punisher miniseries and all that kind of stuff. And they are putting out good stuff if you look in the right places. I think if you're expecting to find a really good X-Men book or mainstream Marvel Spider-Man book, you're going to struggle a little because some of it's not the best. But outside of that, there's some great stuff. Avengers Twilight is one of the best stories I've ever read. Just phenomenal, So there is good stuff out there. Hector, who am I kidding? Marvel would steal ideas from anybody. Yeah. That is very true. Yeah, very
Gold Key Comics and stealing from there.
Yeah. Worst Marvel thing is JJ art in general. Cliff, I'm excited for the Craven movie.
That's good.
Good. I'm pleased, Cliff. I am pleased. Just a reminder, James S. was to blame for Gwen having no... Yeah, that is true. That was a weird kind of left field kind of thing. I'm surprised anybody in editorial agreed with that one. It's very, very strange. They don't put good writers on big books anymore because they don't pay well enough. The good writers are making top dollars with their own IPs. That's true. That is true.
But Sony smart for doing both. Like Chip Starsky.
Yeah, absolutely. Sony producing Spider-Man villain movies without Spider-Man will never work. Agree, MJ. I always equate some of the crazy drastic ideas and the character's longevity and the amount of issues. At a certain point, we've told most of the good story. That is a great point, Flash. Me and Efren, my pal Efren, talk about that a lot, saying these comics some of them have been around 60, 70 years. Do you know what I mean? It's at some point, you can't tell much more new stuff. It is a challenge, I guess. Fuzzy, Craven has me oddly intrigued. By far the most I've seen being by any of the Sony films. Yeah. Main lines have lost their way across the board. Okay, Chris, show us something else sexy. What else have you got there?
Okay. Not everything in my ASM run 1 through 50 is slab. This book during the pandemic sat in the United States. For those that don't know, I am in Canada. I'm very close to the Canadian-American border, and I have a mailbox in Niagara Falls, New York. conveniently enough on Military Road.
Right. Nice.
And when I ordered this book, the pandemic was firing up. And the week that it was delivered, the Canadian-American border, for the first time in God knows how long, maybe since the War of 1812, was closed. There was no tourist traffic allowed outside of trucks going to and from with product. So this book sat in my mailbox for that entire time that the border was closed. And it is The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3, the first appearance of Dr. Octopus. Now, this is as low grade as they come. As you can see, it's missing a major portion down here. And also up by the trade dress.
Yeah.
A little bit of the Comics Code Authority stamp is gone. But doesn't matter. The major part of the Sinister Six is Dr. Octopus. This is his first appearance. And a lot of Spider-Man fans, this is their favorite Rogues Gallery member. Let's be honest, Doc Ock probably has the best Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 is, most people would say, is the best Spider-Man movie, and it's because of Dr. Octopus being in there, and also the subway scene as well. But yeah, I owned this book for a very long time, but I just didn't have it as it sat. But
as
Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3, the first appearance of Dr. Octopus, the second member of the Sinister Six.
Beautiful book. And as Izzy's saying, good thing no one knew that was sitting there waiting for you. That could have been unpleasant. Flash is just saying, great point about good alternative Marvel stories. One Edge DC has us putting heavy hitters on the main characters. Batman, Superman hardly ever lack for good writers. That is true.
Yep, that's
Batman 85 years, Superman 86 years. Wow. I mean, these are long enduring characters, aren't they? Lots of Doc Ock love. Superior Spider-Man,
so
phenomenal.
It's aged so well. I feel it's aged. It's gotten better over the years. Like, a lot of people weren't necessarily sold on it, but I feel it's aged so well.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. My favorite Spider-Man film probably is Spider-Man 2, because I think the portrayal of Doc Ock is so beautifully done. It's also got that kind of Sam Raimi darkness. The scene where the tentacles kind of become aware during the operation at the start is just brilliant. It's a superb film. And the train scene is just amazing. Fuzzy, 1982, Canada gained its independence. What we would like to know, who would win in a fight, Celine Dion or Alanis Morissette? Celine Dion, surely, isn't it?
I don't know. I think Alanis would fight Little Dirty.
She's a dirty.
She goes down in theaters. If you just listen to You Ought to Know, like, she goes. I don't know.
She's a scrapper. She's a scrapper. Alanis.
Yeah, I don't think she's afraid to. I don't think she's afraid to get down and dirty. I think I would. Alanis is considerably. I shouldn't say considerably. She might be a little bit younger, and Celine these days is not in the best of health.
Yeah, she's not.
But
we'll go. There you go. There you are. Fuzzy, let me know. Was Chris correct? Is it Alanis? Let me know. Fun fact: Doc Ock calls Spidey Superman in that first issue. Is that right?
Wow.
Didn't know that. Let's have a look. Sean saying they should do a Swamp Thing movie. I've not caught up with the TV show yet. I need to watch it. It's only one season, isn't it? Yeah, I'll have to check.
I think we are getting a Swamp Thing movie later on. I think Gunn said for Volume 2 that we may get a Swamp Thing movie.
Very good. English actors always make the bet. That is very true. That's true. I agree with that. There's an original page from Doc Ock's first Superior Spider-Man this year at C3. Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh, that's tempting, mind. That's interesting. Swamp Thing show was superb. Stupid reason to cancel it. Absolutely.
Painful.
Oh, Chris, you're doing well. You're improving. You are getting better. Well done, mate. Well done. Let's stick with comics. What are you reading at the moment? And if there was someone new to comic books, what would you recommend to them?
I feel like I read everything.
Yeah.
Like my new comic book day haul usually is anywhere between $50 and $100 weekly. So I feel like I'm paying my comic shop rent alone. Maybe I'm in the wrong business, but Like everyone, I think right now I would recommend 2 titles. Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes.
It's a wonderful jumping on point, and you don't need to know a lot about Spider-Man outside of the films. So it's a wonderful craft. It's a wonderful crafting where you have excellent storytelling. You also have fantastic artwork. The other one I would recommend is Something is Killing the Children.
Okay. Yeah.
I thoroughly love James Tynion the Fourth storytelling when it comes to this particular run. We have a wonderful female lead character that's not sexualized. She's just a badass, no nonsense, with just a little bit of attitude, not too over the top.
Yeah.
But someone that knows what she's doing, and that's why that particular story really hooked me in. And the fact that it does have some gratuitous violence in it, and it's a slow burn, as you would expect from Jamestown the Fourth, but it's really well done, and it's a different style of comic book. I've ever since that particular book, I've really noticed there's been some great female-led comic books like Noctera that's come out, which was also wonderful. Just a wonderful read that I would recommend as well. But if we're talking just superheroes, I feel, because the Ultimate Spider-Man is not at issue 10 yet, I feel that's the one I would recommend to someone that's new to comics. Again, everyone knows Spider-Man on this planet. So I would say this is not the Peter Parker that you're used to seeing in the movies, but it's told so well you don't need to go and read something else to try and figure out what's going on. And I think that's something that can be enjoyable to new readers when you don't have to go get something else to figure out what is happening. I think everything is told. Yeah, I think everything has been told well in that particular volume, because as we know, the Maker and there's other Ultimate stories that are happening at the same time, and that this whole world was created. It's almost false, but I feel that if you just read Ultimate Spider-Man, you're good to go.
Did you know that? I think the bit of Ultimate Spider-Man that I've enjoyed the most overall, I think it's a brilliant read. I am enjoying it. I love the art style. But the bit I'm really enjoying is the interaction between Jameson and Ben Parker. I just love the banter between them, and
sitting down having a coffee. Oh, that's I feel it's almost Tarantino-like the way that they're just sitting there speaking, like, because Tarantino has these wonderful interactions where characters are just speaking to each other sitting at a table, and that's normally not done. And so I agree with you. It's refreshing.
It is.
But I hope they don't play it out. I hope that Hickman moves on to different styles of communication.
Flash is saying north or south.
We'll talk about that later.
Fuzzy, are you reading Nemesis Rogues Gallery? I've not read it yet. Are you read it yet?
I've been through issue 1. I have issue 2. I have not been through it yet. It's a sequel to The Big Game, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I like The Big Game.
Yeah.
I'm pleased they did a sequel, and I'm looking forward to reading it, because I thought had a lot of build-up of Nemesis in his own miniseries. I thought in Big Game, he just seemed to get ended very, very rapidly and very quickly, So I'm pleased that there's more coming from that universe.
He's such a good writer too.
Oh, he's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Celine Dion should have played Black Canary in a film. Her singing voice would destroy eardrums from space.
Oh, easy now. Easy.
Agreed. Fuzzy, Nemesis Rogues Gallery is phenomenal. Okay, Chris, show another book, bud.
Okay, so to carry on with the Sinister Six, The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 4, a cover that I don't like. Some people do. I don't. Introduces the Sandman. So not this is again a low grade 3.0. None of these are going to be big grades because I'm not rich. But this is a 3.0 that I feel is right where it should be. Concerning his condition, as you can see, the spine has a lot of wear. That's not something that you can correct. But Ditko was given a little bit of freedom with this particular cover. As you can tell, it's almost like something you'd see from a newspaper. Spider-Man comes in to take on the Sandman. Sandman shows what he can do, and then starts taking out Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's now losing. But just to let everyone know, The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 4 came out in September 1963, the origin and the first appearance of the Sandman Flint Marko, and also the first appearance of Betty Brant, and who is better known as J. Jonah Jameson's secretary in this time. Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, Sandman's one of my favorite bad guys. I do love the character. And again, a great book to have. But the cover is an interesting choice, isn't it? In terms of the panel work and whatnot.
Yeah. And, Ditko, obviously, great artist for during that time. He may not go down as one of the best to ever do it, but he's exactly what they needed, in my opinion, for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And there are really nice panels here where Ditko does flex some of his abilities. But maybe I'm just traditional. I just like that one scene happening on a cover.
Yeah.
But this is something they tried, and it's not ever done again.
But listen, mate, it's still an amazing book to have, an incredible key first appearance. It's another beaut. You're showing off some stunners. Okay, next question for you. Now this is going to be challenging because you are Canadian. What pisses you off? What winds you? What gets you angry? What makes you lose your cool?
Traffic. I am a road rager, man. Like, it's funny if I have people in the car, I do the speed limit. I'm a wonderful driver. I've been driving for 30 years. Yeah. But when I'm alone, I just can't. Maybe I just focus on things I should be focused, like the errors of drivers not indicating or cutting me off and stuff. My worst trait is probably the fact that I can be an angry driver. And what pisses me off in the comic book world, the fact that Marvel doesn't copy DC and put their best writers on their franchise characters.
Yeah.
Not to go into a rant or anything, but Batman has Chip Zdarsky. Superman has Zeb Wells. Or pardon me, Spider-Man has Zeb Wells. Not right. It's just not right.
Yeah, and in the
Spider-Man, see what Joe Kelly can do, but
the Spider-Man title's suffered for a while, to be fair, hasn't it? Some of the storylines have not been the best, shall we say.
Right.
Flash is a green, not so much traffic, but bad drivers. Absolutely. Okay, mate. Questions. Now, what I like to do is, we've got Austin. Nice to see you, Austin. Thanks for joining, bud. Hope you're well. What I like to do is ask the great public to give you some questions. So I had a few shot your way, all right?
Okay.
GP Venom, how nice are Canadians? Because you've got a reputation now, haven't you, for being
as a whole,
apologising a lot and being pleasant.
Much like most countries, we're just taught manners. And the only difference is manners were continued to be taught all the way through high school as well.
Yeah. There you are, Pierre. Very nice. Very nice. I can tell you that. Peter of Comic Arts, who's a fantastic guy. I don't know if you've ever... I think he's been on Only Slabs, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
Yeah, great guy. I interviewed him a little while ago. Lovely, lovely chap. New Yorker. How did you and Rob come together to create Only Slabs?
Okay. Just the short version. I was still very much in my infancy on YouTube. I had only been on other people's live streams less than 5 times. Yeah. There was one live stream that I went on, a channel that doesn't create content anymore, by the name of Slotted Up. I became very friendly with him. We had communications on Instagram, and he thought that I was a great and knowledgeable comic book historian. And once I told him my story that I'm a second generation comic book reader, and I read a lot of my dad's books, read a lot of my books, I did go back in those days and pick up omnibuses, even though they weren't called omnibuses way back then. And I would read Spider-Man 1 through 100, Fantastic Four 1 through 100, back then, and then I would trade them off or whatever back then, or I would go to my library and I would pick up those type of books as well, and I'd read a lot about the Silver Surfer and books like that. So it's through being on that live stream a couple times that Jason slotted up. I really developed a friendship with him. And Rob at the time, him and Jason were doing a project together called Sidekicks. And they would once a week or whatever it was, they would get together and they would have a 45-minute live stream, whatever. And then Rob, who I had only seen a couple times, decided he wanted to create a show called Slab Hub, where he was going to show off a lot of his graded comic books. And he reached out to Jason and said, "Hey, Jay, I want to do this show. Will you come be the co-host for this one?" And Jason, who was really spreading himself out thin at the time, said, "I can't do that show, but I know a guy who is pretty knowledgeable about comics. Maybe you can ask him." And his handle is the Comic Vet. His name is Chris. And then Rob reached out to me, and I was the long short story. I hummed and hawed about it for maybe 2 minutes, and I just said, "Sure." And then we started rolling, and I think we did maybe about eight episodes of Rob showing his slabs, and I would ask questions, or I would talk about if there's an important first appearance. And then at the end of that final episode, I said, "Hey, Rob, I got a little bit of a slab collection myself." And he goes, "Oh, do you?" And I said, "Yeah. So why don't we just flip the script and I'll show some of my stuff." So Rob didn't realize that I have a very large collection.
Yeah. So
it went for maybe another 5 or 6 episodes. Rob has more than I do, though.
Yeah.
And then it started gaining traction. Rob would give away books and stuff, so people would come in and hang out, enjoy the show, and then try to win books.
Yeah.
And then Rob, somewhere along the line, got the idea of maybe we could have people come on and show their slabs. And I said, "Okay, let's give it a go." And he's like, "You want to keep doing it?" And I said, "Well, as long as you consider it our baby, let's keep doing it."
Yeah. And I have to say, what a great pair you make, because it complements. You complement each other perfectly on the show. And you've met Rob in real life, haven't you? So
I've had the pleasure of meeting Rob 3 times now. First time was Chicago, and then twice now at Heroes Con. And exactly how you see us on screen is exactly how we behave with each other in person. If I see that he's picking up books that I feel shouldn't be given away for free, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
And I voice it right there and then.
He gives away some ridiculous books.
He does give away a lot of crazy, stupid books.
I'm just a little bit concerned, Chris. Comic Journeys here. We are live, aren't we? Are we live?
It's true.
Are we live? We are live.
I've had the pleasure of meeting Comic Journey, and let me tell you, he is a wonderful human being.
Does he have a head? Does he have a head?
He does have a head, and I'll be honest, I consider myself to be tall. I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
CJ is taller than me.
Wow.
CJ is a very large man, and I know that he has an avatar, as you would say, like it. But if you had and I highly recommend, if you ever get a chance to meet Comic Journey, hang out with him. He is a great guy. I have a big affection for Comic Journey.
I'm hoping to get over to San Diego Comic Con, not next year, but the year after. So if any of you guys are going to be around, I'm in the mood for an American con. And CJ, I've messaged you today, mate. I'd love you to come on the show and get interviewed, if you wouldn't mind. That would be good fun. More questions from Von Hoot. First concert, worst concert, best concert.
First concert was headline. I'll tell you the whole bill. Was headlined by Kiss and Whitesnake, Faster Pussycat, and Slaughter were the opening bands. The worst concert I ever saw was it's tough to say worst. I would say my most disappointing concert was Soundgarden, because Bad Motorfinger I consider one of the top 20 albums of all time, and they toured Super Unknown, and all they did was literally stand in place. There was no movement on stage, and they didn't perform Outshined, and I was heartbroken over it. The opening band for that was 9 Inch Nails, who I considered blew them off the stage.
Yeah. Tremendous.
Best concert. Ooh. They're all they're all special in their own way. I don't know if I could pick one. Probably just because of where it was. My best friend and I went to New York City to Madison Square Garden for our fourth last concert, but the last time that Slayer was at Madison Square Garden for their final tour, and opening for Slayer at Madison Square Garden, and I can say that I moshed on the floor of Madison Square Garden, was Primus. The band that does Jesus Built My Hot Rod. Why am I blanking on the name of that band? If someone in the chat knows what I'm talking about.
Jesus Built My Hot Rod.
Al Jorgensen's Ministry. Ministry was, and who opened up for all of them was the lead singer of Pantera and did nothing but Pantera music. So that's right up my, I like heavy music. So that was right up my alley. But have I seen better concerts than Slayer that particular night? Absolutely. But to say that I've seen Slayer in Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in North America, means a lot to me personally, because I love New York City.
I mean, you've dropped some good names there, Chris, but if I can just, I'll blow you out the water. If I can tell you, I've seen Vanilla Ice live.
You win.
I win. Ice, baby. Do you know what I mean?
How he had the audacity to say that was, you know where I'm going to go with this, right? That he did not. That he did not use Queen? Like, are you kidding me? One of the most beautiful songs ever written, and you're saying that bass line is not Queen and Bowie? Get out of here, man.
Yeah. Great question, Von Hood. Great question.
Yes.
Okay. We've got 3 questions from Cliff.
Okay.
He sent more. I've had to censor a few of them. All right.
Okay.
So I've picked 3 that I think I can put them up on YouTube, you know. First comic book that blew your mind.
The Killing Joke.
Oh, amazing book. Now, there's a bit of a debate about the last few panels, isn't there? Do you think Batman kills Joker at the end? Or have you heard this one before?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I've every time I read, there's been 3 times in my life I've read The Killing Joke and noticed different narratives throughout them. I can understand totally where people come from to think that Batman kills the Joker in the end. Only Alan Moore can tell that story, or maybe Dave Gibbons. And there's no way Alan Moore is going to speak to it. But I don't think that I don't think he does. I don't think that the Batman that's in that story is different from the Batman from other storytelling where somehow he would randomly now break that code of honor and kill the Joker.
Yeah, no, I agree. What comic book character deserves more tender love and care?
The Amazing Spider-Man.
At the moment, absolutely, completely agree. Favorite sex toy?
No.
I mean, you can answer if you wish, or you can.
Cliff, my sex life is so good I don't need toys, man.
Oh, what an answer. What a superb answer. That's very good. Very good. Okay, mate. Sure, we've got like one more question to go. Show us the last few books you may have, bud, to show off. Sorry, just before you do it, Gary Ennis would have killed the Joker. Yeah.
Garth Ennis would have killed him,
Garth Ennis, yeah. Fury at the moment. Are you reading Fury at the moment?
Fury?
Is that by Garth Ennis at the moment? The
Get Fury.
Get Fury, yeah.
Yes, and I love it.
Superb.
Yeah.
Superb.
Yep. And,
okay, mate, show us
one of
what
the best Marvel titles this year. It's Get Fury.
It is.
I wish that it was a longer limited series than what it is. This one is another very low grade because it's missing missing page 12 and 15, but it doesn't matter because the Sinister Six are the Sinister Six, and this is issue 13.
Yeah.
This is the first appearance of Mysterio. I loved this character in the classic Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah.
So if anyone were to ask me, who's your favorite cartoon Spider-Man villain? It's Mysterio.
Yeah.
And again, this wonderful villain was a springboard to such great storytelling. For example, is Old Man Logan. What drives Wolverine from stopping to pop the claws is what Mysterio did that night when Wolverine killed everybody. Mysterio was at the hands of that. And just so everyone knows, it's the origin, first appearance of Mysterio, Quentin Beck, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's low grade. It definitely needs a press. The cleaning, maybe, but there's just more to it than that. There's tape on the cover and staples added after the manufacturing. So the fact it says 0.5 and not NG, I will take this and run. No problem.
Book, mate. Beautiful. I love Mysterio. I think you're right in terms of the Old Man Logan story is great. Another great Mysterio story is by Kevin Smith, The Guardian Devil. Have you read that one, Marvel Knights?
No.
It's when Kevin wrote Daredevil. I can't remember if it's 8 issues or something.
Right, Daredevil. Okay,
beautiful.
Yes. So I have read his Daredevil run where Joe Quesada was doing the artwork, and I read the Widening Gyre as well when he did a Batman story. Both were equally good, but I kind of think the Daredevil one was just a little bit better.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, mate. Tell me a little bit about your channel, where people can find you, and what you've got coming up.
So my channel is The Comic Vet. I go live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in North America for a little show I like to call Show Us What You Got. It is a live new comic book day hangout where I invite anyone and everyone to come on and just show the new books that they just picked up for new comic book day, or books that are brand new to their PC that they're very, very happy to finally have. I also do a bunch of other things on my channels where I like to spotlight the books I picked up from the comic book day in my car. I'm having a lot of fun with that series. I also show a lot of mystery box openings and retailer pack openings. For example, DC or Marvel packs from Walmart or other large retailers that get into that comic book packages where they have more than just one issue that's in there. I thoroughly enjoy opening those kind of things on my channel. Sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't, but I get a lot of fun out of it. And in the end, most of the content that I do is for stuff that I just thoroughly enjoy. Another staple of my channel is also touring Comic-Con. So because I live so close to a world-class city, that being Toronto, and also close to Detroit, Michigan, and Buffalo, New York, I have the ability to travel to lots of different cons, whether they're massive like Fan Expo or the Motor City Comic Con, or small ones that just happen to take place at a motel, hotel, or community center on the weekends. I walk around and just film everything and then present it to those that are interested in seeing some of the stuff that gets spotlighted. I try to spend as much stuff on different items of pulp culture, like toys and statues, hardcover books, comic books, and also try to talk to dealers here and there. And of course, at the end, show the haul that I picked up. But that's basically what my channel is. But then you can find me on a bunch of other stuff too.
Including Only Slabs on a
Including Only Slabs, 2:30 Saturdays on Rob's Fat Stacks Old Comics.
Yeah. Superb. Thank you so much. Okay, ladies and gents, just before we wrap up, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping on my channel. Stay tuned, but because we've got the rapid fire questions at the end, Chris, which is going to put you through your paces, okay? So just before we get to those, just to mention, we've got a lot going on my channel as ever. We've got Monday night live shows, action figure unboxings, lots and lots of comic book content. We've got my interview series, and we've got, as Chris has just described, I tend to do a lot of wandering around comic cons and comic shops and things like that. Thursday night, we've got the Killer Comic Show at 9 o'clock. I take part in that, so please do go check that out. And my other channel with James T. Keegan, which is all about horror. We've got One Good Scare Show, so please check that out. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Thursday night, we've got Rodney Barnes. We're interviewing Rodney. Rodney is a phenomenal guy. He wrote Blackula. He wrote Philadelphia.
Awesome.
Everybody Hates Chris. He's done some amazing work, so really looking forward to that. And my next, is DJ Links. So we've got DJ Links coming up on the 18th of September. So can't wait to speak to him. I've got 5 or 6 other people in the pipeline as well. I'm just waiting for finalised dates for that. So that should be fun. Okay, Chris. Rapid fire questions.
1 sec, Pete. Though 1 sec. I don't want to disappoint your chat. You can make me large for just one more time.
Just 1 second. There we are.
I've only shown 4 members of the Sinister Six, so I'm going to power through the last 2 right now.
Last 2, yeah.
So I mentioned earlier my favorite Rogues Gallery member is Kraven the Hunter. This is the first appearance of Kraven the Hunter. This is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 15. Now, normally they only go through 12 issues before they release an annual, like the first Amazing Spider-Man annual where we did have the first appearance of Sinister Six. But this is 15, and it's also the return of the Chameleon, who is the villain in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1. This is the first appearance of Kraven the Hunter, the second appearance of Chameleon, and the first mention of Mary Jane Watson. So Kraven the Hunter, again, a very busy
but I like that one.
I love cover, like a lot of word play here. Great big balloon that's almost as large as a trade dress. But yeah, so that's 5 members of the Sinister Six. The 6th member is Electro. I have that issue. However, sadly, that book has not returned from cleaning and pressing. So what I'm going to do is show the most famous villain of all. Amazing Spider-Man issue 14 is the first appearance of the Green Goblin. So for those that were waiting for Electro, I apologize. I hope that this silver medal is good enough for the fact that Electro is not here.
Stop you there just for a second, because I've wanted to say this all night. Chris, could you just read for us what's at the top corner of that book?
Sure. My lawyers will be contacting you now.
Thank you. Yeah. Is that copyrighted?
The Amazing Spider-Man issue 14, the first appearance of the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, Enforcer's appearance, and the first meeting of the Hulk and Spider-Man.
Tremendous.
So as you can see, the Hulk is down here on the bottom corner. But yes, the first appearance of the Green Goblin.
It's a stunning book. Just a stunning book, isn't it?
I can remember walking around a very small con inside Toronto, and the young man that had this book wanted $100 for it, or originally $200. The cover is split and completely separated from the book. As you can see, it's still pretty bright. Brilliant. It could probably use a little bit of a cleaning, but it's not going to change the 1.0 because the cover is fully detached from the comic book. And again, sometimes you just get what you get and you'll walk away and you're happy to get it. I end up haggling him down to just $100. This is the best deal that I've ever completed in my life when it comes to a comic book, because this is not a $100 book, regardless of the fact that it has a 1.0. I would not accept $100 for it. If someone came to me and said, I'll give you $1,000 for it, I would probably say no, just because it's my first time getting the Green Goblin. I would have to have a better grade to move on from this one. But yeah, so that's my Sinister Six. Again, apologies that Electro, which I believe is issue number 9, is at my pressers. But I hope this one subs in well.
Yeah, that makes up to it, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book. Lots of people saying that you've been an absolute gent, so thank you so much for that. We've got Synthetic saying, this is my first time here, really enjoyed this, great job. Thank you very much, really do appreciate you jumping on. And Dr. Von Hoot, that's crazy for $100. Absolutely. Okay, bud, so we are going to go to rapid fire questions. All right, these are first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, just first things that comes to your mind. But because we've talked a little bit tonight about you being Canadian, I'm also going to test your Canadianness.
Okay,
so some of these questions may tax you a little. All right, I just want to see how committed you are to this Canadian malarkey. All right, so just rapid fire and we're off. Best Batman?
Michael Keaton.
Well done, that's the correct answer. Cats or beavers?
Cats.
Ooh,
I just love cat videos. I love cat videos. They send me every time.
Okay, Stan or Jack?
Stan.
Okay, best Canadian?
Terry Fox.
I don't even know who's Terry Fox.
Look him up.
I don't know who that is. Hot or cold?
Cold.
Naughty or nice?
Nice.
Nice. Who's sexier? US Marines, Canadian Mounties?
I'm sorry to the core, but the Mounties look damn good.
They look fine in that red. They do look fine in that red.
Every man should have a touch of red.
Exactly. Kirk or Picard?
Kirk.
Okay. Peanut butter or maple syrup?
By the way, Kirk is Canadian.
I know.
Peanut butter or maple syrup?
Yeah.
I have an affection for both. Peanut butter.
Okay. Again, you're dropping Canadian points, mind. They'll revoke your Canadianness.
I'm fiercely American as well, even though there's no American blood in me. I am fiercely American.
We've kind of touched on this one.
I love the United States.
Best member of Alpha Flight?
Guardian.
Okay. Sorry or sod off?
Sorry.
Okay. Beyonce or Celine Dion?
Oh, man. See, now you're going to play my Canadianism. Oh, man, Beyonce can dance like nobody. I got to go with Celine, I guess.
Celine, okay.
I don't know how truthful I am being about that answer, though.
Big Mac or mac and cheese?
Big Mac.
Big Mac, okay. Again, mac and cheese is the national dish, more or less. Mike Myers, Martin Short, Rob Fatstacks. Shag, marry, avoid.
Okay, so I just picked up your British isms because you said it different from one. I'd marry Rob.
Nice, yeah.
I can't stand Martin Short, so I'd have to avoid Martin Short, and I guess I'm having it out with
Mike. With
okay. Mike, yeah, who's
How
also
can you
from
not
Toronto
like
as well.
Martin Short? Martin Short's like the main man, isn't he?
I prefer Jim Carrey's kind of humor.
Fair enough. Last question, and it's the killer question.
Okay.
Best UK YouTuber?
Oh, there's so many good ones that I fall in love with. Well, Pete, I'm gonna have to go with two. I can't give you one.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to say Dr. Von Hoot.
Right.
And Pete, I gotta go with Dead Man.
Unbelievable.